Everybody, let's get this over with. What's up? Are we doing this? Let's do this. It's me. It's the Subtle Doctor. I'm here. And I just really can't be arsed.
That's my line. Stop stealing my lines, goddammit. You're not British.
No.
You can't use the Queen's language.
Listen. Don't be so gatekeepy and exclusionary. Okay?
Yeah, no, that's the responsibility of the show, actually, to be fair. As in Sherlock itself.
Okay, well, let me walk back a little bit here and just say, hello, friends, ladies, gentlemen, and NBs. Welcome to Second Stream. It is Kabukicho Sherlock, the final, where we'll be covering episodes 11 and 12, and then jumping off this train with great relish. I'm the Subtle Doctor, as I said, and alongside is the hardest working man in pod business, raring to go after our winter break. It is Shaddai.
Hello, everyone. A very happy New Year to you all, unless you are the writers of Kabukicho Sherlock, in which case, kiss my ass.
Totally. The wolf.
Here's the thing, right? Over the Christmas period and New Year, people like me, we like to indulge in getting very drunk, eating well and all that, and I swear, in my long Christmas period, if I was to describe Kabukicho Sherlock episode 11 in particular as anything that happened to me, it'd be like someone slipping something in my drink. Because I'm still feeling like poison from watching this turgid fucking abomination.
That's exactly how I feel. I was going to say that the experience of it was in the first couple minutes, it felt like, okay, I'm sort of watching a kind of normalish, annoying episode. And then I fell asleep and dreamed like a nightmare of how the rest of it went.
This is watching episode 11 is like deliberately giving yourself a roofie. It's just awful. Absolutely awful. In fact, I'll just come out and say it right now. Episode 11 of Kabukicho Sherlock is the single worst episode of any anime I have watched in 2019. That includes Shield Hero, by the way. That is not a statement I make lightly. Now, I will say, though, that since this is our final episode, Kabukicho Sherlock is not the worst anime I've seen in 2019. That does go to Shield Hero. Because Shield Hero is relentlessly awful and relentlessly lazy, whereas Kabukicho Sherlock...
Get in here, Shield Hero. It's okay. We're not excluding you.
No, you don't get off scot-free either, motherfucker.
Yep.
But, Kabukicho Sherlock it's been okay at parts. When, whoever the transphobic wanker is that does the writing, is, restrained and moved away from the writing of the show, it's okay. It's acceptable. It's not, bad. At those times,
throwing him like an alt-right dog treat.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Get him away from the writers' room.
Just put him in front of YouTube. So, no, I do believe though this is the single worst episode of any anime I've seen in 2019 by a little bit of a margin as well. Sure, Shield Hero had singularly awful episodes, relative for its own brand of insipid I'm not going to talk about it. Just go listen to my 55-minute diatribe on that. I'm not going to repeat myself over that. But this episode is, say for maybe the opening minute or pre-opening stuff, I would say, it is unrelentingly terrible in every respect, save for its animation and its audio. I cannot think of a single way in which this episode was written that does not make me want to grind my teeth into a fine powder and watch as I bleed out as the dust from my molars just fades off into the wind. Content warning ahead of time, folks. We are going to be discussing our old favourite, topic of this show, the transphobic elements, in great detail. But
that old chestnut?
Yeah, that old chestnut. We're going to be bringing that back with a vengeance and, taking out behind the shed and shooting it with a shotgun as it deserves. But I need to also point out that there's so much else about this episode that is just bad because it's just badly written and stupid in of its own right, regardless of the transphobic elements. So I'm going to be covering that before we actually then dive into the, the toxic core of the whole thing, the radioactive spillage that is
the molten, festering,
the Chernobyl reactor,
rotting,
number 4.
Yeah, the Chernobyl reactor, right? Can I just say though, before we get into it, I have similar sentiments to you. I did not watch Shield Hero, so I sort of can't compare to that.
You made a wise move.
I think, yeah, right, yeah, bullet dodged. I think the last time I was super angry on Pod, and certainly on Second Stream, was episode 8 of Given in the summertime, early autumn.
Yeah.
And that was that really got me, but I definitely am more angry about this because this feels less like a crime of omission and insensitivity or ignorance, and more like just plain old, grade A, corn-fed, Japan-bred, in this case, cruelty.
Yep.
1,000%.
Yep.
Just malicious.
Yes. This episode is
so I hate it way more, and I think probably Frank's, if not the old standbys of Elfenlied and Phantom, and those shows actually I think are probably so if you take out abstract out the shitty beliefs and cruelty and stuff like that, and just look at the writing in the abstract and how much sense things make and things like that, I think those shows are probably worse than Sherlock. On the whole, no, Sherlock is really bad, but at least on some level, it sort of makes sense some of the time, even though it really does shitty things to its characters. It doesn't do the narrative suicide that fucking Phantom did at the end, but it is way more repugnant and way less fun to talk about and be mad about. It's really fun to be mad at Phantom
because it's incompetent. That's the thing. They were trying to write a serious story, whereas in Sherlock, I honestly get the impression that the people who were writing this were also co-offering fucking bathroom bills in the US. That is their agenda. In that way,
it really did. Yeah, it really did feel like Frank's in that sort of way. And less sort of Frank's was very much from a political pulpit, people of Japan, make traditional, no families, please. And this is just more a guy just being man, fuck you, queer people, for some reason, you're the worst, and you need to have the heel of my boot ground down into you. It's so bad. It makes me so angry. And I think we should probably say, we're going to spend the bulk of our time talking about episode 11.
Oh, episode 12 is not even on my radar. I'll just point out ahead of time, folks, the only time I'm going to talk about episode 12 in this discussion is only in relation to the events of episode 11. Because, obviously, it's an immediate follow-up.
That's fine.
But the actual events of episode 12, in of itself, I could not give less of a deep-fried shit about.
Very little happens. I mean, there's a cat chase that at this point, I have no kind of goodwill to laugh at it. So the comedy just is totally flat for me in 12. And okay, yay, Sherlock and Watson are officially a couple now. That's
who gives
great.
A flying fuck?
No,
I don't care. I really do not. Beyond just the fact that Sherlock and Watson start working together, which is in of itself the most predictable thing one can do with the mythos. Also, Moriarty turning evil. This is why I also don't give a shit about him anymore, because what a surprise. What else do you want? You don't even have a narrative thread to take us from episode 12 into the second course.
Here's the thread from episode 11 is everyone is still sort of cringe reacting to Miss Hudson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The only thread the episode 12 gives me is the noose I want to use to hang myself after watching it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. All right. So before we begin, I need to get some declarative statements out of the way because we are going to be covering sensitive subject matter here about transphobia, and obviously we need to reestablish.
Oh, wait.
Sorry, go on.
One more thing. you were right. Shadon was right. Like, because, if you missed our previous discussions, I don't blame you in a lot of ways for not wanting to engage with the show.
Yeah.
But B, what I'm getting at specifically is Shadon was like a bulldog with his thesis that the show was, at its core, transphobic and advancing a transphobic agenda. And I was kind of, in a sort of charitable way, trying to interpret it differently, trying to find outs, trying to downplay it a little bit, if for no other reason than to enhance people's enjoyment of it and give them like an alternate lens to look at the show.
That's always welcome, man.
And myself too, because who wants to? I don't know. It's just unpleasant in a lot of ways otherwise. But this episode, the mask is decidedly off. The maskalad is once again off. It's just unfiltered hate boner city.
Yep. I don't like to be right about this kind of stuff, by the way, folks. I take no joy in correctly assessing something as being transphobic, homophobic, racist, etc., etc. By the way, I was going to mention some decorative statements, so I'll actually get one out of the way now that I hadn't thought of, but you've now prompted me to bring up. If you feel differently than we do, and you don't think it is, then, well, hey, fair enough. More power to you. I will vehemently disagree, but as long as you yourself are not, being transphobic by, disagreeing about my views on it, then, hey, fair play to you. That's all the more power to you if you actually ultimately enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think there's a person in our Discord who is super into the show. They discovered it later, and they quite like it. And, with earlier on in the show, Vergalia kind of had a nice counterpoint to a lot of the stuff we were saying that was interesting. So, totally with you if you are able to watch this show and kind of not get what we got and view it differently. I'm envious of you.
Likewise, very, very much so. Believe me, I don't come into shows wanting to hate them. And I certainly don't, spoilers for when we get talking about it actually on the air, but I recently, of course, watched Aizuken episode 1, and I fucking love that show. I am immediately entranced by it and enraptured by it. That's the kind of stuff I would talk about all the time, were it not for the fact that I'm a colossal moron who does occasionally, watch bad shit. But at the same time, bad shit should not be ignored for the sake of it. We need to often cast light onto the awful things as well. Right, so declarative statements. Let's get these out of the way first and foremost. So, we are, of course, to be covering the transphobic elements of episode 11, of which they are significant and unavoidable, and I would argue as prominent as the fucking full moon in a night sky. So, yeah, that's going to be happening. But we need to know, of course, our own credentials. And I'm going to speak for Doc on this behalf, because I know he can trust me to do that. Me and him are cishet. So, we are inherently incapable, I would argue, to a certain extent, of properly articulating and understanding a transphobic viewpoint, breaking it down relative to someone who actually is trans who could better understand it. I mean, for Christ's sake, I, as a white person, can't say, that I've ever experienced racism. So how could I, while knowing, of course, that it is wrong, morally, ethically, and intellectually, how could I ever articulate on the same level as someone who has experienced racism firsthand because they are black or because they are Asian, etc., etc.? You get the point, basically. But I'm pointing out nonetheless, just to make sure that you're aware, we're no one special. And I will find it and put it at the end of the actual podcast, or indeed actually in the Patreon post this will go into. Blinkaji, shouts to Blinkaji, by the way, for being a sound dude. He actually linked us a review, I believe, from a trans anime fan of this episode, which was similarly scathing. So, in all honesty, you might want to just turn the podcast off and go read that instead. We'll wait.
From Otaquest.
Yes. We'll be very patient.
Yeah.
You can come back later. So,
yes.
There's that. God, what else was I going to say? Something else was on my mind. I'm sure it'll come to me later. But yeah, that's the main thing I want to get across, basically, that, we're no one special. I would rather that you actually listen.
One would argue that we are special and that we are least qualified in some ways to talk about this sort of stuff. But, we have a perspective, and there are perspectives that are a lot more kind of closer to the material, a lot more that have direct experience with it, and are going to not be blinded by a lot of the stuff we're blinded by because of the way that we have lived and grown up, and our biases are going to be different, all that sort of stuff. So just keep that in mind, that in the same kind of vein as it's okay if you have a different opinion. It's cool if, like, you are an LGBTQ person and you're like, hey, you guys missed the point of this, or you didn't think of this, or, and we're apt to do that, like you said, because of who we are, and we just want to, put that out there, that we're by no means, as you said, authorities on the matter, but we still want to criticize it because it's some shit.
It is, and I've had
some hot shit.
It is some. It's like I said to you off cast before, Doc. This is basically like the ocean plastic trash island of anime at this point. It's just fucking diabolical. Yes. And I have remembered well, so I was going to say, so because this is our second stream format, and you person listening may potentially have not come across our regular live streams, could very well be listening to this in a vacuum. We don't provide full context in this particular setup here, this particular format of a given show's episode. We don't go through the whole plot from start to finish and then start mouthing off our points. We will go straight. But we do need to provide the key context and also some definitions, first and foremost, that you and I are going to agree on live on air now, Doc. So,
oh boy.
First things first, we need to give the big reveal. Jack the Ripper, it turns out, is Maki. So yeah,
swerve. There's
the swerve. If you did see that coming, well, I don't blame you, because I sure as shit didn't, because this has been very badly set up by the show in its whole run. But that's not the point. Now, because this show, then you could probably see where this is all going with the transphobic stuff.
In a way that is a little bit meta, I guess.
I see. I immediately know what you're going to say with this.
It is sort of foreshadowed by the show in that, like, not by the events of the plot, but if if you were just gonna, like, guess who do these writers want to pin this heinous crime on, it would be pretty logical to be like, you know what? How about one of the trans women that frequents the Pipe Cab bar? It doesn't like them very much, this show.
Yep. You're right. And indeed, it's also kind of appropriate that the show itself, in the big reveal of Jack the Ripper, would also reveal itself for the, fucking crime that it is. So, hey.
I wish I had some of the peyote that Kyogoku was on.
Oh, I'm honestly surprised I'm literally not doing this while sniffing glue. But, well, needs be as needs must, I suppose. So, okay. Here's the thing, right? I had mentioned way back in episode 1 that I had problems with the tone of the show based on the graphic nature of the murders in question, and I still do. That's not changed. In fact, that's actually been made worse given how it relates to Maki in question.
Oh, Lord.
So, I need to put some things out there first so people don't misunderstand me as we go along. I will not, at any point, defend what Maki has done as a character. Not in the fucking slightest. None of it. Hell, I was already annoyed at how she was portrayed previously, with how, she was treating Kyoko. And indeed, now we understand the full plan behind that, as opposed to her simply just, milking him for his money. So, no, you will not hear me defend that in any way, shape, or form, nor will you hear me then provide a but at the end of this. I am not, however, going to indulge in the same practices as the show by then starting to do things like misgendering. So I'm going to just lay out on the table right now. I'm going to refer to Maki as she, and Maki as Maki rather than Jack, just so at least we're keeping this consistent.
For sure. Don't be like Sherlock.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, by actually, doing this, I'm putting more effort in than the show's writers did. Although then again, that presumes that it wasn't their intent in the first place. And indeed, I do believe it was, as I will explain later.
Well, Watson at least didn't do it. They very much demonstrated the ability that certain characters are able to not do that. But
I am 99%.
The man with all the truth, the man with all the fucking the right perspective on everything. He knows that she has male genitals, so she's a he.
I am 99% certain that in episode 9, Watson was actually confused about which pronouns to use.
He was, but then there was a part in 11 where...
Also, he's always been Mrs. Hudson's going to violate my person.
I know. Well, oh god, no, I'm not defending him as a character in this. I just mean he correctly gendered Maki in pronouns.
Well, even a broken clock is right twice a day, Doc, so there you go.
I know. No, this has nothing to do with Watson. I'm just saying the show knows what it's about. Sherlock is doing that.
It's like a chocolate boxer's transphobia. Great.
Yes,
I'd rather eat, the Linda collection of, flesh-eating beetles and scarabs. Fucking marvelous.
Mm-hmm. Well, and like you say all the time, though, like, if they were to put it to some sort of use,
I will get to that as well.
It's not like out of bounds, right? It's like we're totally okay with scummy, bigoted characters in a show. It's not like, well, I can't watch anything that doesn't agree with my perspective. That's not where we're coming from.
Oh, absolutely.
It's more like
the key thing.
This is just
the key thing with that.
This is the show's belief.
Yes,
this is what it is advocating. This is its pulpit.
It is a view it endorses, and that's why I mentioned Shield Hero before, because Shield Hero has its own viewpoints and perspectives on how to treat other people and women, etc., and all that. So it tacitly endorses those, and it's much the same as Sherlock does. And indeed, you actually hit the nail on the head of one of the big points I'll make later, which is that Sherlock providing all of the awful shit that is said that is transphobic that makes it even worse. But we'll get to that later because we need to kind of keep this segmented for reasons I'll get into in a moment.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll do due diligence on this, but don't mistake, any of the stuff I'm going to say as being in defense of Maki's actions, because absolutely not. No way. Doesn't matter who you are, doing the things that she did, fuck's sake. I mean, I'll be blunt here and I'll put my cards on the table, because again, spoilers for context, Moriarty kills her at the end. If I were in Moriarty's shoes, I probably would have done the same, to be quite honest. And he's got more excuses than I have, given his age and all that. So yeah. I can't.
I don't think you need to. You don't need to say you don't endorse. I don't think anybody endorses. No one endorses what Maki did. Surely,
no, but at the same time, we're going to also then be tearing down the transphobic nature in which she is treated, and obviously the answer that some people might have is, well, she deserves it because hey,
I see where you're coming
which is well. There are many, many different ways one can, go about these kind of things, and that is certainly not the way to do it, especially not the way Sherlock does it. And I'm talking about the show, by the way, not just the character. But we'll get into that. So, okay, I'm going to start, because we need to talk firstly about everything that's wrong with the episode that's not inherently about the transphobia. So, Kyoku, he is obviously, knocked out by Irene and found to have been drugged by what is some kind of magic mushroom, if I remember correctly, that works like LSD. Peyote, that's the stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's the stuff.
It is the stuff. It's what I'll be having after this. I'll be downing an entire bag like it's, popcorn. Om nom 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 nom.
Yum.
It is my medicine after watching this show.
Please pass the pipe to the left.
It's going to exceed my recommended daily usage. Let's put it that way. So, after all that happens, and, oh, by the way, just as a small nitpick, do you recall at any point them explaining how Irene pretended she was a ghost? Because Irene's not dead, of course.
Oh my god, I don't think that they did.
No, of course they fucking did, because it's too stupid. You can't, come on, couldn't they have done this any... Look, I'm not even going to dwell on it, because we've got bigger...
Can I say something? The most fun I've had with the show, maybe ever, in its run time, is... I was listening earlier this morning back to episode 10, and we were talking about patrons, voting for it or not voting for it. And I was saying, it kind of probably doesn't stand a chance, but you could hold a meeting, a members only meeting, to try to convince people to change their votes. And you said that you couldn't believe Sherlock fans would meet in the open air.
So, I mean, honestly, that all...
It's the funniest shit.
I mean, that just sounds to me it sounds to me like some secret society of supervillain shit if you were to vote for us to continue watching this fucking catastrophe.
On the episode itself, it sounds like I no-sold you, because, I just kind of keep moving without laughing. But I think I just didn't process what you said, because while I was going to buy cough drops, I was just hysterically laughing at that comment. That's the funnest I've had with the show. And you reminded me of it when you talked about Irene as a ghost, because that was the major plot point from that episode.
Yeah, so they don't explain that, even though they really should. Because, I mean, you think I'm being pedantic here? Explaining in great detail how capers are pulled off is part of how Sherlock as a mythos works.
Yeah.
Whatever. Fuck it. That's not even, like, the biggest fish. That's like a fucking, like, minnow in terms of all the fish we have to fry here.
The biggest fish was sitting across from Moriarty,
and it was tattered and torn up, just like this show. Ho ho ho! Yeah. How funny I am! This is the point, by the way, you gradually start to notice my tone harden, and I start to get more and more angry. Yeah, we're gonna have another one of those episodes again. All right, So after Sherlock basically figures everything out, but obviously doesn't reveal it to his friend. What he decides to do, and this astounded me even before I realised who Jack was, is that he decides to hold a Rakugo explanation in the Pipe Cat bar in front of everyone to reveal Jack's identity. And there are so many things that I hate about this. There are so many things that make my piss boil about this whole setup. Now, I had explained previously in one of our episodes that the idea of, like, Rakugo, like, being used to show off how smart Sherlock is, that annoys me, but I don't mind it so much when they start tearing him down or interrupting him. But this is taken to the nth degree. He has literally got every single detective and even the kids to come and watch him do this, like, as his big proud moment revealing who Jack is. Like, fuck off! Fuck right off! But even beyond the ego element, even beyond that and how much it just makes me want to punch him, it's also, like, completely idiotic because they know who the killer is, but they haven't already captured them before doing this. How did they know? I mean, are you willing to tell me, listener at home, that Sherlock is so smart, so unstoppable, so mentally powerful that he knew exactly where Mackie would go to after Mackie, of course, realises that the game is up and tries to make for the wall and, cut to the other side, that he was able to turn up in time with Watson in tow? No! Piss off! Bullshit!
I'm so happy you brought this up because not 3 days ago, I read a similar scene that pulled this off quite well. Are you familiar with the Vertigo comic Fables?
No.
Okay, so are you familiar with the Telltale video game The Wolf Among Us?
Yes.
Okay, so it's based on that comic book. And the premise is that all the fairy tale creatures were driven out of all their lands into the mundane, normal world that we all live in by an apocalyptic event, but they have to blend in because of certain laws and stuff like that. So they all kind of have human disguise. And the main detective, Big B Wolf, yes, Big B Wolf, it's great. He's solving a crime, and he does a similar thing where at a big party and raffle, he sort of... Everyone knows about this crime, and he calls them all into a room because he's like, I'm going to solve it for you because this is the stuff detectives dream of, is to have our parlor scene like an Agatha Christie novel. And it works there because, A, the writers have like a good sense of humor.
They're not fucking morons.
And also the crime, it turns out like that the victim is not dead. She was faking her own death. And so no one really needed to be arrested. There was no element of danger. It was just sort of like revealing what was going through her head. And so given all that, that scene is really funny and makes a lot of sense and doesn't really have, doesn't sort of defy logic and good sense in the way that this scene does in Sherlock.
Yeah. I mean... If you're, again, the answer that you'll give there, an explanation, he knew ahead of time where she would go, etc., etc., like, that only makes it worse. There's a point in which Sherlock stops being comprehensible as, like, this polymath, and he starts just becoming like a god. And that really is what this entire episode feels like to me. Just like, look at how amazing Sherlock is and how right he is in every respect. And even, as I say, without the transphobic elements, he isn't. He's a fucking moron. And, on top of that, there's a third thing. So, let's consider Kyoku for this, like Yu Narakami, whatever his name is, right? Now, I didn't really care for him, period, to be quite honest.
He's an asshole.
He is,
so.
but let's be clear in this, right? He is also a victim in all of this. Because he was drugged by Maki, and then, I'll call it gaslighting, because that's basically what it is, gaslit into trying to get the USB drive from Watson. Mm-hmm. He is, I would argue, a victim of circumstance. Like, okay, maybe you want to push, like, that he did try to, like, stab Watson, like, when he was drugged up. Whatever. But it's clear that he himself has been, manipulated.
Totally.
So, how is it fair or reasonable for him to be trussed up and tied and put on display as part of the Rakugo, thing? Fuck you, Sherlock, you piece of shit! This poor fucking guy! Like, you know, I mean, I know the shows treat him as a joke, but that doesn't mean the characters need to go so far as to fucking humiliate him by putting him on display when he's done really, like, the most minor of things compared to...
I know.
I absolutely...
It really is... The only reason is Sherlock wants to, like, deepen the, like, surprise, you know what I mean? Like, actually, it's not this guy. I made you think it was so much that I cuffed him and all that. Like, it's such... garbage. Really
I hated that so much. Like, I shouldn't even need to explain it any further. I really don't. Like, it just simply is a appalling way to treat someone who's been manipulated.
Again, it just makes me think of that scene in Fables, because the characters themselves in that scene are just like, yo, Bigby, what the fuck, man? Like, can you get on with it? Like, can you know? But everyone is like, oh, Sherlock, we're enraptured. We're like your audience, captive in the palm of your hand, and God, you're so right. You're so fucking smart.
I know. This is leaning into like Gattis level of, like, you know, and Stephen Moffat level of Sherlock mythologizing and worshipping. Except it actually goes beyond that, I would argue, because this is where the Rakugo element actually poisons, like, the show's own, like, construction and just makes it, like, unpalpable to me. Because it serves more as an ego thing now, rather than a method of explanation that's creative and interesting. It serves basically to, you know, have him show off to everyone how smart he is. And I'm just like, I could not give two deep fried shits about that. Kindly fuck off. Alright, so those are my points that are about the bad elements of the lead up to, like, you know, the reveal, in which, of course, Maki ducks out. That aren't to do with the transphobia, and the rest of it is going to be about the transphobia. So, since we don't have anything else to add on the stuff that doesn't involve the transphobia, let's dive into that wonderful subject. Let's, you know, just, you know, plug our noses and just go right into the fecal swamp that it is. Okay, before we do that, though...
Hazmat suits on.
Before we do that, though, you and I need to have a discussion about what transphobia is. And I know that sounds daft... Okay. But there's a reason I've been thinking a lot on this, because I think it speaks specifically to why I find everything that's happened with this whole plotline so offensive. So, Doc, just ahead of time while I discuss this, tell me if at any point I'm talking out my ass. I mean, you should have really been doing that ever since we started the podcast, but I'm just reminding you of your, you know, God-given right to do so. All right. Now, again, just to reiterate, folks, I'm a cishet dude, so I probably am going to be talking complete nonsense, but to me, like... Let's start with homophobia, right? Homophobia, to me, I think, in part, but not entirely, is a fear of, how should we say, like, unwanted advances from someone of the same sex. Something that you wouldn't be able to reciprocate. I mean, if you, for example, got an unwanted advance from someone you were attracted to, say if you were a heterosexual person, and you're a man, and a woman came onto you, and you weren't interested in them, you'd at least still have that, you know, feeling in your mind of, oh, well, I could have if I wanted to. Whereas there is no such thing with a gender you are not attracted to. By the way, this is not me endorsing any of this. I don't believe any of this horse shit. I'm just trying to, like, Indeed. Map it out, so to speak. Would you agree with that so far?
I think that's like a kind of outward manifestation of something deeper that I would think that it is a either conscious or subconscious kind of attitude or thought or way of thinking that being gay is wrong and people should not be gay.
Yeah. Indeed, that can come from many sources. Like, it can be, for example, religious, depending on how hardline you are. Even if you're not religious, but you've grown up around it, like it might have, like, germinated in your brain, so to speak. Again, I'm only speaking to a specific part of it, and this is very much an incomplete, like, you know, Cliff's Notes, like, bar mat, like, understanding of it. But I'm now going to move on to transphobia, because transphobia, to me, extends or expands upon that idea that I just mentioned to... I might be attracted to this person, but then I find out there's something they're not, quote unquote. It's a kind of betrayal or deception, shall we say.
Which is part of why trans folks are such an at-risk population, because there is oftentimes, particularly in very masculine, manly cultures and subcultures, there's a violent repercussion to being quote unquote trapped or tricked by a trans person.
Indeed, that's why the transphobic slur
to
trap exists.
Yeah.
And this is why bathroom bills exist as well, because they are ostensibly to protect, people from being sexually assaulted in bathrooms, which is a complete logical, cul-de-sac, because there are already laws against that. Gender is an irrelevance to that.
Yeah. And this is another aspect of it, is believing all non-heterosexual, sexual and gender identities kind of involve like a predation.
Yes, that's exactly the word I was going to use. That's exactly it. So, again must stress, I don't buy into any of this horse shit. Not a single shred of it. To me, I have immense respect. I have immense respect for trans people, because to me, realizing that you are not the person you already should have been from birth, biologically speaking anyway, and moving to change that despite, the inherent hardship of it just in terms of you yourself, and then of course how the world would perceive you potentially. That's one of the bravest and most honest things I think anyone can do, as opposed to the transphobic view in which it is based in dishonesty. That's the way I see it. So you might be thinking to yourself, why am I going into all this academic nonsense? Because I need to get this on the table to explain how truly vile all of this stuff with Maki is, if you take it from the moment that she starts hooking up with Kyoku to the end. Because her sleeping with him to get him to do what he does, is the transphobic predation belief. It is, an act of inherent dishonesty.
You're right.
Their trans person would sleep with someone else to get them to do something like that. It is an extension of that idea. That alone,
the trickery.
Yeah, the trickery. Exactly. That alone immediately is already pretty reprehensible, but of course it's only getting worse from there. And that's why I'm saying, this is also the show and not just Sherlock, the character, that is at fault for this. Because of the way it's been constructed. It's been designed deliberately to build on that belief of predation and dishonesty.
I'm with you.
And it makes me feel fucking...
And that's just like the...
That's not even this episode! It's not even this fucking episode! Oh, Jesus Christ. God, I'm going to have a headache by the end of this. Alright, so there's that. So, after Maki is revealed, we then get Sherlock's wonderful Rakugo speech in which he says that he starts spouting off some absolute horseshit about angels and, you're not a biological creature. And I just thought, shut the fuck up. Man, do you remember, in fact, you know what? Do you remember when you and I and James Beckett did that episode of Franks where for the YouTube, 5-minute repeating animation, we just had Hero being punched over and over?
Yes.
I want, if we ever do that for this particular episode of Sherlock, I want it to be Watson punching Sherlock over and over.
I would enjoy that.
Although to me, I think using a 2x4 would have been more, appropriate response to everything he says, because I just struck the tip of the iceberg. I'm not even quoting things word for word here necessarily. So, Watson...
And I'm staying out of your way because I want you to build to a crescendo.
Oh, I'm building.
I feel like that's what you're doing.
This is some fucking Minecraft shit. This is going to be this is going to be the fucking Sistine Chapel when it's done.
Yeah, I will not be the creeper who shows up unwanted and blows up your shit. I want you to build...
I'm going full fucking Ozymandias on this shit. Behold my works, ye mighty, in despair. So, okay. Sherlock and Watson managed to beat Maki to the other side of the... Who cares about the fucking... They find her. Whatever. Who gives a shit? Doesn't matter where it is. I don't care. And this is when Sherlock lays out that he has forensic evidence of the fact that Maki drugged Kyoku by matching the fingerprint that had been found on the glass before versus the fingerprint on the on the bag that...
Yeah, he doesn't even do it. He says, "I bet if we compared these, we would find a match."
Keep that idea in mind, actually, because that's going to be relevant to something I'll be discussing in a bit. You're actually on something there, Doc. So he mentions that. Now, keep that in mind. And this is when the Maki's facade starts breaking down, and then she starts going on about how beautiful all the people she murdered was, blah 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 blah. All this awful shit. Which, by the way, again, is just, hey, I thought, that Jack the Ripper, cutting off women's genitals was just there because the show wanted to be edgy. And, well, boy, howdy, was I right. Just not in the way I expected. I thought that was just the
What
writers doing it because they, again, like I've said before, what happens to women, like, when they get assaulted, they get raped. That's what unimaginative writers do when they create works like this. They just go straight for what they know in pop culture or just culture in general is what happens to that particular gender specifically, rather than anything more creative than that, where they like try to build like some sort of like, logic or anything like that. Anyway, you were saying, sorry.
Did you catch the briefest of mentions in the subtitles in the text? Not anything we've been shown, but a mention.
Yes,
that Jack the Ripper,
I know where you're going with this.
Maki has indeed also murdered men and done the same thing, and I feel like that is the show trying to get out in front of the accusation that it is misogynistic.
That is not the last time it will do that, because I'm gonna be getting into that soon. But I'm just
and let me.
I'm just going to point out, by the way, if that's the way the show wants to play it, that to me is like going to an interview saying that you're a sex offender, but saying it's okay because you attended church when you were a kid. Fuck off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's just going like, I'm cool with women. It's just these other people.
Fuck's sake,
like,
really.
Okay, that doesn't.
It doesn't wash one way or the other.
Yourself any credit there?
No, it does not. It does not wash.
It felt like a throw-in too. It's not like Anyway, whatever. You please continue.
It would have been nice if we'd have actually seen that, as you say. All right. So this is the point where Marky starts breaking down and then breaks into a male voice and starts going on about all the awful stuff. This is kind of the Buffalo Bill shit, basically. Now, before I go any further, I need to point something out because I know that people are going to come up with counter arguments for this, such as, well, what's wrong with having a trans villain? What's wrong with having a gay villain? Now, I've actually discussed this on the podcast before, and I'm going to point this out. There is not anything inherently wrong with that, but works of fiction are not created in a vacuum. They exist in the times and the culture that they were made in. So, I actually do think that it's less reasonable to have a gay or a trans villain than it is to have a straight villain, because, to put it mildly, they are minorities that are not treated equitably by culture at large. When we get to the point, in which there is truly equitable, I'm not talking just in legal terms here, I'm talking as in a way people actually act, then, I'd be more okay with that. Or, if you want to get even more specific, if in the terms of the show itself, the show is much more charitable to the rest of its trans characters, such as Mrs. Hudson, then I would be more okay with this. But it's not.
Yeah, and how about, can we just bring up the fucking average a little bit of, like, trans characters that are neither the butt of jokes or tragic villains? How about we just do that for a while?
How about novel idea, crazy idea, folks. I know it's gonna blow your minds out. How about, I know it's gonna sound insane, we treat them like normal human beings.
Oh God,
blow your fucking brains out, didn't I? Oh my God,
that's a bridge. That's a bridge we can't cross. No, but seriously, like, there's also like degrees of sin, right? It's one thing if kind of the villain of the show happens to be one of the pipe cat ladies, and there were backstory reasons, some kind of financial thing, or being used by, she was being used by the government, but like for reasons that were different, because it felt like the villainy was absolutely wrapped up in her transness. It was, her criminal acts were a kind of outward manifestation of the rage and the rage that she felt at her own body. And for that reason, it feels like this is a universal swipe at all trans people.
Again, like I said before, builds on the core like elements of transphobia, like the predation fear.
Mm-hmm. The fact that, and this is really disgusting, content warning for a graphic description of a disgusting act here, but the fact that Maki ate the wombs of the women is just like, I don't think that you could. It's basically the show like writing on a giant poster board, like, this is a transphobic show. Like, this is just like transphobia given character. Like, we have, like, you know what I mean? Like this like person who, because like they have these weird feelings of wanting to be the other gender and change their sex, they're like trying to like, they're dangerous because they're trying to fulfill this really abstract idea in these horrible, violent ways, and that's the logical consequence of what they do. And like just a person who was has genitalia that are male trying to consume a womb. I mean, I think that image sort of speaks for itself, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, so let's get on to the next bit, because this again is going to be another case. You actually said before, by the way, that the show like was trying already to build in counter arguments or excuses for itself. And here's the next one. This is the big one that I suspect a lot of people will point to, and I'm going to tell you why this is complete bollocks. So Sherlock starts laying into Maki, like accusing her of having a small dick, and like, why didn't you cut it off, or you were a coward? All of this awful, awful stuff. Now, I'm going to get back to that in itself in a minute, because I actually am going to go out on a limb here and say I actually don't think it's possible for Sherlock Holmes as a character to be transphobic inherently. You might think I'm crazy on that, because we've obviously got that here, but I'll explain in a bit when we talk about what Sherlock Holmes is in terms of like both as a mythos and also like what the character is meant to represent. But we'll come to that. But here's the thing, right? Sherlock does that, and then Maki again like loses his shit, starts confessing all this stuff, and it turns out Sherlock has been.
You've just like that point you just made, like it's so fucking true. God, I didn't think of it. It's so fucking annoying, Shadon. Oh my god, it's like fucking Roosh V or like I don't know, Black Pigeon Speaks. Or like, well, I'm gonna show you who I'm gonna create the smartest one, like the smartest Sherlock, who's all about like fucking facts over feelings, some Ben Shapiro shit, science. And it's like, they don't know what the fucking science says.
No.
Rational fucking Sherlock would not, god damn it.
No, rational Sherlock would not engage in irrational behavior like being transphobic. Indeed, Sherlock actually says it's a complex.
Bullshit.
And like, yeah, so it's got nothing to do with the trans nature then. There you go. Congrats, Sherlock. You're kind of on something there. Who'd have thought you as a detective would do that? But anyway, yeah, like that to me, like, I'll explain now actually before I go back to talking about the confession thing. Sherlock Holmes as a series, as a mythos, as a canon, as a work of fiction, like originally by Conan Doyle, it was a champion of the idea of rational thinking over all else. That, problems can be solved with logic, deduction, and induction. Transphobia is inherently irrational. It is antithetical to the very construction of Sherlock as a character and as its original material. You cannot make Sherlock transphobic. At which point he ceases to be Sherlock. That's my view on it.
Yeah,
you can't do that.
He becomes like fanfic, YouTuber Sherlock. I'm like, just, here's what the evidence is, you SJW cucks. And it's like, fucking no. Like, acquaint yourself with the science.
Yeah, I mean, I know that
the psychology.
I know that a lot of depictions of Sherlock have made him like socially awkward and often quite gracing. But I can't recall a time I've ever seen an interpretation of the character that goes to the level that this version does.
I mean, what's next, right? The fucking like Sherlock that's like, the bell curve is this great book, Jesus. And he's like all about race, science, and IQ.
Yeah, I
nonsense.
I look, like I say, like I know that there have been many versions of the character that have graced like that that have been gracing in the past. Not least of which again being the Stephen Moffat version, who's a smug, self-centered piece of shit. But like I say, though, that doesn't go anywhere near to the extreme that happens here. And okay, now that I've got that out of the way, let's talk about the idea of getting a confession. Firstly, are they going to legitimately take Jack the Ripper to the police when the police themselves have shown little to no involvement in the show thus far and are also on Ward Mayor Moran's paycheck? I don't think so. Seems doubtful. But even if they did, they already have a better load of evidence, which is, of course, the fingerprints. Why do they need a confession? What the fuck's the point? They've already got, this far. And thirdly, as happens in the episode, these guys are looking out for them. So this is why I've said all along, like, why does this ecosystem with these detectives exist if the police aren't going to get involved anyway? So obviously, whatever justice is going to be meted will be dealt with by them. And it turns out that's true, because Moriarty kills her. So why... The confession's completely unnecessary, just in terms of, like, making sense for the plot. But I'm going to go... I'm going to go beyond
it also
that.
didn't make sense... Oh, sorry, I just wanted to say, it also sort of, to me, didn't make sense from Maki's perspective in that she was very, like, I'm gonna kill you. And then Sherlock's like, well, I just got you saying that. And it's like, why does that... And then she deflates like a balloon instead of being like, well, I'm gonna kill you and smash your fucking tape recorder.
You
know what I mean?
Easy enough. I mean, you know. But I'm gonna go one further than that. So the confession to me, like, could be read as an excuse for why Sherlock is saying what he's saying. You know, I'm going to get a rise out of Maki so that she says and confesses to all the horrible murders that she's done. You could use that as an excuse, in theory. But it doesn't wash, and I'll tell you why it doesn't wash. You and I, Doc, have discussed in the past the idea of diegetics, like, you know, how something is explained in universe to have it make sense. And yet that doesn't excuse, like, you know, the intentions of the writers. For example, like, you know, oh, these orcs always rape everyone because that's their culture. Like, no, it isn't. They've made it's fiction. You know, get with the fucking program. Yeah. This applies here as well because, spoiler alert, the confession becomes irrelevant the moment that Maki is killed. And the writers knew this ahead of time because they were the ones who, of course, wrote in that she was then killed by Moriarty. So the confession only exists and only functions in this story as an excuse to have Sherlock say what he says, not for any actual way of moving the plot along whatsoever. It is the writer's explicit admission and confession of their own, ironically, that they knew they were writing transphobic shit in here, and they were trying to play a guess out of jail free card. The only problem was that they played an Uno card in a game of poker. Fuckwits.
An Uno card. Oh, draw 4, bitches. I don't know. God. I can't... Yes. Yes.
So, yeah.
They just wanted to, like, you know, rub it in.
Yeah,
I guess.
Exactly. The confession is an irrelevance. It only exists, as I say, to try and give Sherlock an in-universe out for why he's saying what he's saying. But it doesn't work. If you think about it for even a second, like I say, like it doesn't matter in the end. So, who gives a fuck? It's just literally there to give him an out that doesn't even work. It's fucking pathetic. Like, this is the thing I find when I cover shows like this in Shield Hero, that they can't even, like, give themselves... I mean, there obviously are no good excuses, but they don't even try. They don't even put in the barest amount of effort that, you know, doesn't make them look like gossamer thin excuses for the awful, awful shit that they put in. So, nice try, Sherlock, but the thing is, like, you know, when you make a mystery show, you're trying to, you know, also make people pay more attention, so people end up noticing things like this.
Right.
Maybe you should be writing that. Maybe you should be cleaning toilets, people who made this show. Just a thought. More your speed.
So, just in case I blacked out for a minute, because I was so angry, the main excuse I think people would have for his cruelty is that he's trying to goad her into some kind of reaction. Like,
he's got no personal involvement, though. But here's the thing. Like, let me lead into the final point.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Let me lead into the final point. You had actually said before, like, you know, that we gain nothing by not talking about or having this stuff in fiction as long as it serves a reasonable purpose. And there is a get out of jail free card so blindingly obvious, so, like, as bright and apparent as the neon of Kabukicho itself, waxing lyrical here, that they could have just literally done this with a Control F, and most of my problems with this would have maybe disappeared. And do you want to know what that is? That find and replace? If they had Moriarty saying all these things instead of Sherlock. Think about that for a second. Okay. It's his sister that was murdered. He's only a fucking kid. He doesn't know any better. And he, in the end, does the awful thing that capstones this whole thing. And we're not then meant to like or sympathise with him.
It wouldn't be cute, though.
No, it
already has to be cute.
Well, no. But do you see what I mean, though? Like, that's
James.
right there. they wouldn't even need to change any of the dialogue, and it would be fine. Well, not fine, quote unquote.
Right.
But it would make more sense.
Would make... Exactly, yeah.
It would then gel with his later action.
Yeah.
And as you said, though, Sherlock, as a character, because he's always right all the time, like, that's when he starts being a mouthpiece. That's when he starts being, like, this avatar of reason and logic. And therefore, anything that he says must therefore follow to also be true and fair and accurate, which we, of course, know is not the case. So, that's why that's there. Like, because he exists as a mouthpiece for the writers. Fucking hell.
Just like such a... You use the phrase gossamer thin. I don't even know if it's veiled at all at this point. It just really, like, if they had animated him, like, going into a spasm and then blinking and his eyes were a different color because he'd been possessed by the writer, like, that would have been basically what was happening here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just like, here are our opinions. These people suck. Like, yeah. I mean, it was just, it all is just so needlessly cruel and heinous. And as I said, like, it's,
maybe
I really, really don't think that the argument that this is only about Maki and not about trans people in general, like, has a leg to stand on.
There's transphobic humor in the OP that plays every single week. There is no argument against this, that this isn't transphobic. I'm done playing nice to people who want to say that it isn't. I know I said before, like, if you feel differently as well, but I can't fathom what explanation you would give to try and make this, like, not come across as transphobic because it's just her as opposed to, like, all the other characters. I mean, pop quiz for you, Doc. What's the name of Maki's two friends who are the other trans sex workers?
No idea.
No idea, because they don't matter. Mrs. Hudson is, like, even episode 12, waving her ass around, like, getting in the way of everyone, violating people's space. What more the fuck do you want me to say?
Creeping everybody out.
What?
Even, like, lesbian characters being creeped out by Mrs. Hudson.
Just... I want to stick two fingers down my throat and puke. It's just...
Can we, like, flush our brains on this show?
It's going to take a lot of high-proof alcohols to do that, my friend.
Uh-huh.
I had absinthe for New Year. Maybe I'll go get my friend who gave me that to give me that, and I'll like, right, I've got a shot glass or I've got the ball. Not even a 2-second decision on that. But yeah, there's not a single element of this entire thing that isn't awful or wretched or vile or disgusting or crass. It's all meticulously constructed from start to finish, or at least the writers think so anyway, to put that point across.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think, like, to yourself, like, we're meant to feel some vicarious justice, we barely knew. I mean, Alex's, like, relation to Moriarty wasn't confirmed until this very same episode.
I know.
Moriarty himself has not really been, like, he's had, like, troubles. Oh no, like, that's not enough. That is not enough.
The bare facts are not enough to
make us
create that empathy.
No, they're not. And that's why, in turn, they resort to things like having the graphic manner in which, Alex is, mutilated. Because that provokes... It's kind of like, tabloid reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the kind of way
Inner
this is
dad.
written. Yeah. It's like
Come out.
Like, this thing was written by the guys who write the fucking Sun tabloid in my country. Mm. And
what did you...
I've got one final thing. And do you want to know what all this is made of, folks? Do you want to know what all this is made of? It's made of the thing that I said at the very beginning was why I had problems with the idea of bringing Sherlock over in general because of the baggage it brings. It's to make Moriarty turn bad. And hey, I can understand how he came to this point. Don't get me wrong. But if you've gone through all of this effort, all of this incredibly ill-intentioned and misplaced effort at that, to turn James Moriarty, the most famous villain, arguably, in Western fiction, save for Batman's Joker, to turn him evil, I don't know what to fucking tell you other than to stop writing. It shouldn't take this to get to this point. There are 1,000,001 ways you could have written this story differently to get James fucking Moriarty to turn evil.
Yeah, because I guess we're supposed to sort of be like sympathizing with him, despite him being on the wrong side of the law. and as you mentioned in Discord, taken to not a juvenile detention center, it seems. How did you feel about him covering up his father's crime?
I don't care. Like,
Sure.
The thing is, right, like, the thing I was going to mention as well, like, the final thing I'll say is that you remember how I think it might very well have been Frank's, actually, where we got to, like, you know, or it was something else. Actually, no, I'm going to mention a different show, a good one. It's like with Erased, and also with, like, Violet Evergarden. Like, those shows suffer from the same problem, which is that they kind of end before they end. Like, the main through line, the narrative and dramatic through line of them just kind of peters out around the 8th episode. There is no connective tissue left at the end of episode 11 as to, like, the presence of the wall, Morin's activities, or anything like that. He was...
Except the stupid ending scene.
Oh, the Ugga Bugga Man. Hello, Clarice. I'm giving very serious thoughts eating your wife.
It looked like a kaiji character. A giant face and eyes.
You know you're creatively bankrupt when you're relying on a cheap, like, you know, horror movie jump scare like that.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, spooky man in a cell. Ah!
So I could, in a different show, I could see the idea of James Moriarty, like, if this was not James Moriarty, right? If then it was a different show of sort of young character who is estranged from their father, but feels something still deep down for them such that they don't want to expose them, their criminal behavior, and destroying the data. Like, I could sort of think that was interesting and feel some sympathy and, you know, have some kind of investment in that. But, like, we're halfway through this garbage show, and it is a garbage show filled with garbage.
Yeah.
And acted out by characters who are garbage. So, like, I don't care. But, like, that kind of plot point, that story beat abstracted from the rest of it is a good story beat. But I just, you know, the show, I care about nothing in it. So
it needed more build up though. Like, I mean, James Moriarty, like, disconnected from him just being Moriarty and the baggage that brings him. Like, this is why, I mean, I snorted that. Like, James Moriarty turns bad in the Sherlock adaptation. Whoop-de-fuckity do. What else are you going to surprise me with? Jesus Christ. It takes you all day to figure that out.
Watson does officially become his assistant, which very shocking.
I laughed at that, and not because of the reason that, you know, they wanted to, because I could be of use to you, and, like, how many times has that happened? I mean, they strayed credulity of that, like, with the insert shot of him actually punching Sherlock in the face. And also everything that we have seen, which shows that Watson's got...
And hey, that scene, Sherlock apologized in the most, like, informal kind of way that you could between two dudes who are working together.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
No explanation of the ghosting, whatever. But I don't know what else I don't really know what else I have to say. Like,
I think we're done.
I think we really are done. Yep. Like, in every respect.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, also on top of that, like, I know I said I wasn't really going to talk about episode 12, but let's just cover two quick things. Like, if you want to know how much this show cares about Kyoku, like, who was, as I say, I suppose, sexually manipulated and gaslit and also drugged, all we see of him and all we see of the characters, in fact, no, all we see of him is him huddling, like, you know, Marky, it can't be true. Like, okay, that's pretty tragic. Do any of the actual characters give a shit about him? No, moving on. No one, like, checks in on him. Like, no one recognises that, hey, he's gone through some pretty rough shit. No.
I guess that's what happens when you're an asshole to people.
He wasn't so much of an asshole that he deserved what he got, in my opinion.
No, well, you're 100% right. I'm being glib. You're very correct.
Well, that's me all over right now. So, okay, there's that. And the thing is, right, this entire episode focuses on them trying to locate the pipe cat which goes missing.
You gotta get that pipe.
Gotta get that pipe to beat the show to death with. If ever you wanted an admission on the part of a show's creators that they have run out of ideas or ways to make you care, like, we should have some real narrative momentum from the end of that episode where Moriarty has literally just killed Jack the Ripper, Maki, and is covered in her blood, and then we cut to a week later and everyone's kind of meh about it. This should be a big fucking deal. There should be a lot of soul-searching going on here. Why do none of the actual trans characters who, like, knew Marky get any lines about how they feel about the fact that she turned out to be Jack the Ripper?
I know.
Mrs. Hudson kind of sort of gets some of that, but then spends the time like, hey, you're all going to find my missing cat. Like, this is not appropriate. This the tone is like, tone is for cowards according to this show. Like, I know writers who use subtext and they're all cowards. That's
tone consistency is for cowards.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It is the biggest like goalkeeper kicking the ball along like kind of thing, right? I mean, not wanting to build anything off of what just happened. And it really does feel like a lame attempt to be like a Cowboy Bebop episode, honestly. Because in construction, it really does kind of feel like that. But it's pretty but not interesting in any way to me. The detectives all look like fools. It's not like they're silly bounty hunters who we've grown to love and have affection for. They're all supposed to be like detectives, and then none of them can catch this freaking cat who, like, is in their immediate vicinity at one point or another throughout the episode. And then they all like give us. They all kind of crap on Sherlock's Rakugo. How did you feel about that?
I just wanted to, I really at that point just wanted to start drinking lighter fluid.
It was just enough.
I just don't care. Yeah. Like that's the thing. Like any good feelings or any indifferent feelings I might have to episode 12 that in a vacuum, I suppose, was just kind of there. Like I actually felt actively hostile to it after episode 11.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
same.
Sorry, Sherlock, Kabukicho Sherlock creators. You shot on my rug, and I didn't like it. Surprise, surprise.
And you set it on fire.
Yeah, pretty much. It's left a really nasty smell everywhere. I'm just going to end on this, right? Like, would be listener at home, like, look at these 2 episodes back to back and just consider the plots of them. Mass murderer who, devours like the wombs of the women that they kill and cuts off their genitals is found and executed in a street justice moment by a 16-year-old boy versus wacky antics of finding a missing cat. If ever you needed evidence that the show's creators do not have a fucking clue between them of what they're doing, that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. And the Kyogoku scene, to me, indicates that not that much time has passed between 11 and 12.
I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah,
I really don't. This show. This entire
we are like.
Yeah, I know. This entire fucking show is just secondhand bodily fluids. That's what it's made of. That's all I'm going to say, and I'm done. Fuck this.
Old Yeller is behind the shed, and we have loaded the shotgun. It's time to put him down. So, click, click, boom, boom, double tap to be sure.
High five.
Goodbye.
We're not even sad about it. We're doing it gleefully.
Yeah. We did it.
Jesus Christ.
Goodbye, Sherlock. Hello, Jeweler Richard. Hopefully this will be a better, case file. Is it called the case file of Jeweler Richard? Because that's a weird coincidence.
Oh, well, you know what we're like with coincidences in this podcast and, like, link together things. It wouldn't be out of the ordinary. But before we leave, though, Doc, like, I've spoken at length here. Like, I've probably taken up most of the runtime, getting my points across. Do you have anything you want to add about episode 11 in particular that I've not covered?
I don't think so. I mean, I felt like I got to say my piece. You got to kind of lead on the talking points, but I really do feel like I got to chime in on every one of them and kind of add my 2 cents in. I think my opinion on this episode and the show as a whole is very known, and I feel satisfied with the way that I put it out there. So I am ready to shuffle off this mortal coil that is Kabukicho.
Yeah.
Dad, I did it right there at the end. Kabukicho.
Oh, you don't care. Sure, crock of shit. Who gives a fuck? Honestly, I am the same. And the sad thing is, like, I said this with Shield Hero, and I'll say it here as well because I genuinely believe this to be true in 99% of all anime that I ever cover that I don't end up liking, which is I can see in an alternate, like, bizarro universe, how this could have been good, if not great. If this, for example, had been created by actual trans authors, who have a love, for trans people, can you imagine, like, how amazing this show would have been? Hell, I've actually seen trans characters done better in anime, like Hannah from Tokyo Godfathers.
Yeah.
Same kind of principle, works in a club and all that. Treated with a substantial, no, not even a substantial, is wrong, but like an infinitesimal amount more dignity than any of the trans characters, not including Maki, were in this one. The ones we're supposed to like. And much funnier.
Anime has shown that it can do this kind of thing right and be sensitive, and not a giant fucking hateful asshole. So the show doesn't really have any excuse.
The show has excuses. They're just the kind that are made by a 5-year-old when they've not done their chores. The pathetic and easily see-through kind. All right, I'm done. I'm done.
All right.
Fuck it.
Yep.
We're out. We're done. All right.
So, patrons who are listening to this first, in second stream, Kabukicho Sherlock, we are not mad at you for voting for this. We also thought it would be interesting, and that's why we put it on the poll. Mm-hmm. But now we've come to the end of this journey. Thank you, those of you who have stuck with us throughout. Mm-hmm. And we are glad, again, that you have voted on a new show for us to cover, and we don't have to finish this. The Case File Jeweler Richard, I believe it's called. Well, Jeweler Richard we know, but I think it's the Case File. Anyway, Jeweler Richard on this very second stream, so we will be starting that next week. And for the thank you. Again, all patrons, you guys are great.
Before we go, I'll add in on what you're saying about that with the patrons. I'm absolutely agreeing with Doug. For all that I didn't like this show in the end, I don't regret covering it, because while we here at Warui Deshou, we're still niche, we're still small fry and all that, we don't gain anything, as much as we don't get anything from, not having shows to begin with that feature things like transphobia, homophobia, or racism, because they are topics worth covering. Similarly, there is nothing to be gained from ignoring or not talking about shows that have deep-rooted problems like this, where they are endorsing those viewpoints. Granted, we're, as I say, not the biggest fry. We're not, the biggest audience. The biggest mouthpieces for criticisms of this stuff. But no one gains from not talking about it. So
yeah, as I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, so just to finish off, so I'm totally happy to have covered this. I'm glad I did. I can't subsist on a diet of anime all the time as a critic, which is only stuff I like. I can't live in that kind of bubble. I'd rather be challenged and even be offended. If not least because people might find it amusing, but also because stuff like this does deserve, exposure to sunlight, so to speak.
Yeah. If you believe that there is an art to criticism, then I think in the same way that creators, artists, ought to kind of have a variety of influences and things that they consume, the critic should also. It's only helpful, I think, to watch not just good shows but bad, not just new shows but old, to broaden the palette, to kind of acquaint yourself with visual language and tropes and all kinds of things that, like you said, challenge you and kind of help further develop that art of criticism. So I agree with you. As much as I wanted to stop doing this, I'm by no means regretful that we have engaged in coverage of this. And I hope that we have, this has been beneficial to folks in some way or other.
It'll be material for when I talk to my therapist in a year's time. Tell me about the time that you covered Kabukicho Sherlock. Well, boy, howdy can I, because I've got 12 hours of it lined up on YouTube. Yep. Let's get settled in.
For you to make a lot of money. So yeah, patrons, thank you, as always. And if you are listening to this on the public non-patron feed, first of all, you're valid too. We understand that not everybody can be a patron. So that is entirely cool. We still are buds.
Times are tight.
And indeed. And we thank you for listening as well. And hope that you're all ready for Jeweler Richard. Because I know I am.
Hell yeah. I'm in for it.
But, yep. Adieu, Kabukicho. And with that, for Shadon.
Fuck you very much, Kabukicho.
Yep, who you can find on Twitter at Shadon1010, and for myself, you can find on Twitter at The Subtle Doctor. I will just say, embrace each other, everyone, to the ends of the universe.
Good night.